kind of parent would name their child Banana? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on someone who's been associated with Fox for almost 7 years. Banana Jack Murphy. Good morning, Jack.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me
Great
on here.
to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in.
It's a little more quiet than I envisioned over
I
here.
know. It is nice and quiet. The studios are big. I mean, we got a great
Where's
big
the
facility
printing
here.
press?
Yeah. I tell you, the Herald's been blessed with a relationship to the Georgetown Times. They actually print the paper down there, so they've been a great partner for us.
That's an old paper down there, isn't it?
Georgetown Times is the oldest paper in the state.
Yeah.
They may be the oldest in the, they're the oldest in the state. And the Post and Courier, which owns it, is the oldest daily in the state.
Okay.
Which is fascinating.
That goes back a while.
It does. I think it's like 1700s. If you can believe that.
It's longer than I've been here.
I know, Jack.
But in my business, man, I've seen a lot of folks come and go, and there's only one or two guys, and only one is left in the business that was on the air when I came here many moons ago.
Do you mind us?
That would be Billy Smith.
Billy Smith.
Now, Billy wasn't always on the air the whole time. I mean, he would
left
jump
for a while.
around for a little bit from station to station. Freakin' Deacon is in real estate now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I saw him not too long ago. I don't remember where. Oh, the home show.
I haven't seen him in a while. I was just eating a barbecue sandwich the other day, and they were out of toothpicks, so I went up and got a card, and it was his. He's selling real estate now.
And on the card, does it have Freakin' Deacon?
No. But it should.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd buy a house from a guy named Freakin' Deacon, wouldn't
I
you?
don't know. Would you buy a house from a guy named Banana?
Well, I actually used to sell used cars.
Is that
That was one of the family businesses. Of course, I wasn't known as Banana then, which would be great. Banana would never sell you a lemon.
Banana.
That would be good.
That would be.
I've got something to fall back on if this doesn't work out.
If this, i.e.,
Radio.
River Talk, radio,
Yeah.
of course, TV, and you're online.
Yeah.
You're online all the time.
All the time. There is not an hour, and there's not an hour that goes by in any given day that I'm not on the air somewhere.
You're talking about 24/7.
Every day.
What do you mean somewhere?
Somewhere.
You mean someone's tuning in? Is this to Tiger Radio online?
Yeah, for the most part.
Right.
Yeah. But, it's kind of weird because I'm on television. At the same time, I'm on radio.
Right.
Which kind of throws people for a loop. A lot of people didn't associate the two because I don't really use the banana part like I do on the radio show.
Right.
With television. I think they wanted a certain amount of credibility.
Oh, yeah, when they
with the
launched
show.
it.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
they launched it.
Let's talk real quick about, I'd love to know how you got the nickname Banana, Jack.
Well, a guest that you've had on here before, Bill Hennessy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He hired me, and he called me into his office and says, look, you got a pretty good shot of getting the job, but we want you to change your name.
Huh.
And I was like, well, I've changed my name a couple of times already, and you hear about guys, you want to have a name to stay with. He goes, I want you to be Banana something.
Oh, my.
So he'd already hired a girl to do news and be my sidekick, and she was OJ. So you see how this breakfast show's going, Banana and OJ.
Oh, my God.
Well, at least I got top billing in the deal. 6 months working with me, OJ left, so it just became Banana, and so I used a combination of some old family names to come up with Jack Murphy. That's not my real name.
Now, golly, golly, Jack. You wouldn't throw out your real name on air, though, because, of course, then people would be calling you all the time.
See, that's right. Bankers and lawyers.
That's lots of lawyers.
Yeah, a lot of lawyers.
Credit companies.
Yeah, all that. So
That's right.
don't want to do that.
So how many folks, for instance, Jack, would know your real name? Your parents? Your
Well,
wife?
yeah.
Does Barb know?
Well, yeah. Yeah. She's Mrs. You don't know my real name.
I
Yeah.
love it.
That's how that works.
So that's, of course, a lot of folks would think she's a progressive woman, keeping
Well, she's
a fake
working,
name.
because that was a topic of discussion. She says, what are we going to do about the last name situation?
Right.
And I says, well, I don't have a problem with you not using it. I don't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I never knew what it was until a friend of mine was working a voting booth there.
Yeah.
You came in and showed her your driver's license, or him or her. I'm not going to, of course, impugn her. Showed her your driver's license.
oh, yeah.
And there it was.
Yeah.
She called me immediately.
Yeah, while I'm standing there.
That's right.
You're in the wrong lane.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're supposed to be over here, J through Z. I'm like, going, no.
Oh, God, Jack. That must be exciting. Is that kind of strange having a stage name? I mean, having a name that...
Well, John Wayne's name was Marion. Now,
yeah.
can you imagine, John Wayne coming on? You got to have, which Banana Jack, not the manliest of names I've ever heard myself. Yeah.
Mickey Splain was with us last week, actually on Friday.
His real name is Chuck, right?
Morrison.
Oh, Morrison.
Morrison, yeah, is Morrison. You're obviously not watching Carolina People on a regular basis. Strangely enough, Jack, right now.
Well, I'm on the radio.
At 7 a.m., I know.
Yeah.
So which one is live? Obviously, we're live here, so there must be a robot over there at Wave 104 and on UPN.
Well, there can be
Yeah.
in our business because technology has replaced the announcer to some degree. A lot of times, yeah. When you're listening to the radio, whoever's on the air is at happy hour somewhere.
It's a happy hour. Now, of course, you are the immediate replacement to Howard Stern in this market. You moved from KZQ over to Wave 104.
Which was not a hard move for me. It's actually walking in the same front door and just walking maybe another 10 steps. Because Next Media came in and initially bought Wave on the front side. Tony Hirsch, who's still in this area, was the owner. He had bought from Tom Rogers in '97 and made a lot of money on that deal. I did the math, and Tony did real well. And he had Joy 92, which is now Star 92.
Right.
Try to keep up because I can't. I'm in the business. But Next Media bought Wave. KZQ and Wave were like enemies for the longest time. And if you had told me that one day I'd be working for Wave 104, up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said, there's no way I'll get out of the business before I work over there. But you get older, things change, and it was a good move. I knew that the company, Stern lost a lot of affiliates a few years ago after the separation of his wife. He had tremendous ratings numbers. It's a business decision. It's all about revenue. I mean, that's what keeps the lights on and the announcers paid. And especially when you make morning show money, as I do, you got to sell a lot of commercials. That's maybe a lie, but that was the deal because it was a hefty sum, and he wanted to get an increase in his syndicated fees. So I knew that the company was looking at some other areas just by, eavesdropping and hearing some hints dropped. So I put the bug in about a year before it actually happened. When you guys make the decision, or if you make the decision to drop Stern, I want to make that progression. And fortunately, we were all on the same page.
That worked great.
Yeah, it worked great for us.
The bulk of our viewers in the PD, even into southeastern North Carolina, can hear Wave 104.
104.1, yeah. It's a classic rock station.
So they could tune in, and obviously whether they have cable or just broadcast antennas, they could catch you right now on Channel 21.
Yeah.
21.
You're all over that. You've mentioned that 2 or 3 times, and I've just kind of glazed over it.
I know. Yeah. I've got to mention, of course, because part of the thrill of getting you in today and trying to get you in before the transfer took place was back in September '97. We launched River Talk here on Fox 43, which has been with us or had been with us until just very recently. Now moving over to one of our competitors, kind of. But of course, the show has been around a long time.
Yeah, River Talk. Actually, my involvement is, I'm not even the original host. These real estate guys are getting some plugs today. Steve Rayburn, who's been in the area for a long time, was the original host of River Talk.
Okay.
It aired on HTC Cable and also on Time Warner Cable. And I came on board in June of '97, and then, as you said, in September, we launched over here. And the type of show that we do on broadcast television, virtually unheard of. I mean, you guys really blazed a trail for what we were doing to put it on at that hour. I think 8:30 in the morning was the original time.
Okay.
I think so.
And then later moved to 7:30.
7. Yeah.
Oh, 7.
7,
sorry.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're on now in the old time slot.
That's right.
But and then you came along. You got the television bug.
Oh, I tell you, it's been very exciting.
That was a fun
Jack.
hour, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so thrilled to be able to go in and watch you some and get some pointers from you. And, of course, Donald Smith, who owns Lucky Dog, who produces both the shows. It was great getting some guidance from him and the back-to-back combo, obviously covering O'Ree County down here and covering the PD as well. It had been great. Uh, the the big move for you down to this market took place how long ago, Jack?
I came here in '89.
Okay.
Now, I was originally offered a position to go to WKZQ, which is 101.7, the home of the Mad Max Morning Show.
Huh.
Let's see, I like plugging the guy.
And Mad Max is where? Is he here?
He's here.
Oh, he is.
I'll get to that in a bit, because that's an interesting deal, too, about the whole syndication of the business. I was working in eastern North Carolina. I was actually on the air in 2 different stations, doing mornings at a top 40 station. Our studios were in Goldsboro. I had been contacted to come here in '87, and I turned them down because it was a night. I wanted to do mornings.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back into morning radio because in the mid-'80s, when I was in Raleigh, I kind of co-produced a morning radio show and got to be a bit player. And I thought if you were going to be able to survive, that the morning guys always had the nicest cars and they wore the nicest clothes, and they were out of there at noon most days, and so that was the option I wanted. So I came here in '89.
Okay, good. And how was that transition for you?
Well, it was interesting because I came here in March, and KZQ was getting an upgrade from 3,000 watts to 50,000 watts.
5-0.
Yeah, big move for them. And they didn't really want me to come on the air until they got the tower. Well, it rained, and they were behind on construction. I mean, you know how it is when you're erecting a tower or anything, upgrades and stuff, and sometimes things don't go to plan. So I literally ate a lot of foot-long hot dogs, hanging out at Peach's Corner, and sitting in a motel room for 5 weeks, I guess.
You're kidding.
So April 24th, '89 was my first day on the air here, and knock on wood, I haven't been off the air since, every day, Monday through Friday. And you know, the weird thing, Greg, is that, you know, in our business, when you're growing up, you always listen to guys in big markets. That's changed somewhat. The whole business has changed. You always have these heroes. You would ride into town, and you'd have to listen to this radio show. If you went into New York, and when I was a kid in the 70s, you'd want to listen to Don Imus. I mean, he was on the air then doing great things. Or Chicago, you want to listen to WLS. And those were tremendous things. Well, we got what we called air checks. There's companies that would go into town and would record these air shows, and we'd listen and we'd steal bits, you know, and try to pattern ourselves and develop our own personalities. There was a guy, Dr. Don Rose, and he was in California. And I got a tape, this cassette tape, and it had a number of his shows on there. This is Dr. Don's 5,000th broadcast. I was like, oh, no, that's pretty cool. So I started counting the number of shows once I got my first paycheck. I didn't count any of the college radio stuff. And to this day, just one of those weird nuances, and so I think I'm up to 6,604.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, radio shows. Now, when
When you're talking about a show, you're talking about 4 hours on air. So we multiply that times 4, and that's 25,000 hours.
I mean, there's only 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
And so I've been in this business over 22 years now, and I want to know where my pension is.
Well, of course, you've had the ability to remain in the same market, with so many folks are not able to do as you said.
Yeah.
And Billy
I'm the
Smith
luckiest
is really
guy
right.
in the business.
Really?
There are a few guys who've been able to do that. There's a family in New York who the grandfather and then the father and the son have been on the air nonstop since the grandfather first went on the air. It's kind of weird how this progressed. I think it's Gambling, John Gambling. Rick Dees had a long run in California. Stearns had a long run in New York City, even through his syndicated deal. John Boy and Billy, of course.
Right, out of Charlotte.
But here in Myrtle Beach, I've just been lucky because I just did the morning show. By the time I came here, I had held every position that you could have in radio, except general manager. And I've just concentrated on...
Did you ever do any sales?
I was sales manager.
Is that right?
Stationed in Elizabethtown, North Carolina.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I did sales here for a time as well.
Sales is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the best part about being on the radio, Jack? For 4 hours.
People
You're
don't
on
get
6
to see
10.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, here
You
I'm
can
trying to
wear
be on my
anything,
best
right,
behavior, you know. You can scratch whatever itches on radio and no one bothers you. I mean, I want to, like, you know. But it's the unseen, the imagination. Radio has dropped the ball on that to a big degree. I mean, because of technology. I got in this business. My father And a cousin of ours, one of the family businesses was grocery stores, and they had the one in the small town and opened their second store. Well, they had this huge Easter promotion. This was maybe 69 or 70. And so my dad, you know, he's working all the time. We had 2 kids and one on the way, my little sister. And he's working all the time, and I think he's making $75, $80 a week. You know, 3 kids, it's phenomenal. And he's working all the time. And he comes home and he tries to be the dad, but when you work all day, you know, there's only so many times he's going to bounce you on his knee because his leg's tired. And he had this promotion for Easter where we had this big lot beside the grocery store in this little town. And so we had an Easter egg hunt. There was a lucky egg where a kid won $25 or $50. That was a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
And so the radio station comes out from this little town about 8 miles away. And the radio disc jockey gets out, and he's got his, you know, his checkered polyester suit and the big tie, and everyone's happy, and they're like want this guy's autograph, and he's got little pictures that he signs. And I'm like going, dude, that is so cool. That's what I want to do. And I guess I was maybe 6 or 7.
No.
Not
that young?
Yeah. I think I was 5 when that happened.
Right.
And
you can still picture it now.
oh, I can still see it. It's a good thing that the circus didn't come and set up beside my dad's, or I'd be, you know, doing trapeze acts and cleaning up behind the elephants now. Because if you were on the air then, it was a big time. You were a star.
Right.
Because FM radio hadn't really caught on yet. So I got to listen to Rick Dees, ironically enough, in Raleigh, at WKIX, and Pat Patterson. John Tesh actually worked there. We had a lot of good
Is that right?
Yeah.
In the Triangle?
Yeah, because they went to NC State.
Okay.
And Dees went to UNC. And got to hear some good radio.
That's exactly right. You had a guest on River Talk last week, Ed Pietrowski, that went to NC State.
Yeah.
I tell you, a lot of folks.
A lot of guys.
NC State's churned out a lot of great
Sure
folks.
did. Yeah.
Really has.
John Van Pelt, who actually was a KZQ alum that I met in Raleigh, and it's kind of it really brings into perspective in this business how small the world is. And the thing with Lucky Dog that produces your television show, back in the 90s, I was doing this cable access show. Ralph McLeod, the local TV producer, and I were doing this tongue-in-cheek weekly comedy show and trying to get advertisers to support it. Donald, who has done quite well, we used to hire him to go out and shoot for us.
Really?
Yeah, when we needed an extra camera guy. And I think the deal that I really am blessed with is learning in small market radio how radio is supposed to be done. And the philosophy with those guys is that I met a lot of guys when I first came into the business that they were on their way out in their career and they'd gotten tired of the big markets, and they said always be nice to everybody because they might be offering you a job. And that's come back because a lot of guys who I actually work with now I get a paycheck from, and I like that. I like paychecks. You paying me today, by the way?
Today?
Man.
It's a Monday morning.
Oh, okay.
Kidding.
All right, yeah, right.
I spent it all this weekend. Gave it to church yesterday.
That's a good place to give it.
You
yeah.
used the word blessing a minute ago, Jack, and it makes me think, is it luck or blessing? I mean, when you're thinking about stuff in your life, having been here 15 years, having remained on air
Now,
for
when I was a
22
much
years.
younger man, I was really a little bit more into luck. I'm not going to get on a religious tirade, but a lot of times I think that maybe it's already set up for you, and you're just an instrument and a tool. I'm not getting into predestination.
No.
But yeah, I've been blessed, truly blessed. Yeah.
You've got
because you can't outgive. The more you give, the more you receive.
You really feel that way?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I can tell you stories because
we got 7 minutes, so give one. Yeah, what's an example?
Oh boy, we always end up on this. Tithing, you know, in religion you're always supposed to give, and I think that just goes as much for your talents as it does money. But you get in that situation where you're like going, well, you know, I didn't tithe last week, and well, if I fudge and just tithe this week and not on what I missed last week, and whenever I've taken it upon myself to stick to my guns, I would always be blessed. I went out one day, and I got a phone call. I was off this day, and I was cutting my yard, and they called me from the station and says, look, we need you to fill in for someone at this adult establishment. Well, you know, they're fine, but I didn't want to do the work there. And so I says, I'll tell you what, I'll fill in. I don't want to do this work. I don't want to be associated with some of these adult establishments, but I'll go. And I was like going, God, I'm going to give this money to charity. I says, I just do not want this money. I don't know why I did it. So I do this, and all this money comes in. Well, when I first got that, that check, like there, so as soon as I left, I made it a point to go by to different charities and write a check out for what I made, because we get paid extra for personal appearances.
Right.
The end of the week, I go to my mailbox, and I have a check that more than covered what I had already written out to charity that week. And it happens all the time.
Just a random check?
Yeah. I had overpaid on a mortgage on a refinance, and I had a check for like $800.
Wow.
Yeah. So people are blessed. You can't outgive God.
That is great, Jack. I've never heard you talk about that. That's wonderful. Of course, you and Barb have another big blessing on the way.
Yeah. Now, we made the announcement because having worked with Bethany Christian Services, which we talked before, and I think the fact that you have a classic rock and roll disc jockey, and I've been out there in the forefront of a lot of wild and crazy things, and will remain so, because you can still live a good, faithful life and still enjoy all the things that, some folks may say you can't enjoy. We really were a pro-adoption agency. I think that was the
Bethany.
Bethany.
Christian-based, though, right?
Christian-based. And I think when you get in people's face with pro-life sometimes, there's such a negative that goes along with that because of the media. So we're pro-adoption, but we're still pro-life. I've been very openly about my pro-life stance. I didn't really know. It was easy to say that until I go in with my wife, and at 10 weeks, I see the heart beating, and I see the formation of hands and legs of my kid that's about to be born. And it just strengthened that belief because, well, it's easy for you to take that stance because you've never been in a situation, you've never had a kid. But that I was thinking of that. It's the most awesome thing, and this is a great journey. And I had known for quite some time. I think we found out on April 30th that we're going to have our first child. I'm almost 40. I'll be over 40 when the kid's born. And my wife, you never reveal your wife's age, is quite a bit younger than me, but still in her 30s. And I just didn't know if I was at that point to share it. And so from April 30th until the Friday before Father's Day, I kind of kept mum about it. And then when I saw and heard the heartbeat, I said, "Oh, we got to go with this." So I made the announcement. So we'll find out soon.
For your listeners.
Yeah, because that's the thing with my show. And always has been. I mean, there's some entertainment value, and of course you don't always talk like an announcer and stuff. I mean, you conduct yourself differently. When you sit down to dinner at someone, you don't like say, "Well, tell me, Jack, how have you been?" That's great. You don't do that, do you?
That's right. Well, I probably do.
Yeah. Well, you do.
This is very personal. Yeah.
So there you go. We're having a kid.
Congratulations, Jack. I mean, one of the great things sitting here before we started filming this morning is, as you said, no matter what that was like, seeing your child for the first time, no matter how he or she is doing, you and Barb would be ready for it and are committed to make it happen, no matter what, which is amazing.
So this is people said my life was going to change when I got married, and it did for the better. Meaning Barb was probably the greatest. Well, it was the greatest day of my life. And
really?
So I'm thinking that
meeting Barb was the greatest day of your life.
Yeah, marrying her topped that.
Yeah.
And well, actually, we don't have time for this. She gave me the ultimatum. Because guys, I think, are a little reluctant. We want to have, our cake and eat it too.
Oh, yeah.
Why buy the cow when the milk is free?
Oh,
and she gave me that little finger, and she's like, "Well, look here, little man. I need to know where you stand. You're not getting any younger, and I'm not getting any younger. You need to make a decision."
Wow.
So I said, "Oh, what the heck?" So I think we'll have some competition because I'm excited about it.
And now your folks are excited, and her folks are excited.
Sure,
I mean, everyone's wrapped
giving
around
up
it.
on me, man.
Yeah.
I'm almost 40. My dad had written me off.
Y'all have been married how long now, Jeff?
What time is it?
Yeah. 6,604.
Oh, no, 7 years.
Is that
September
right?
27.
You're 33 now.
Yeah. I waited.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. TigerRadioOnline.com.
Yeah.
Folks can go there.
That is based loosely on the first AM Top 40 station that was here, Tiger Radio.
Right.
And we had to change the way we went about that because of some copyright issues, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, stuff you don't really need to know about. And we changed. It was the greatest thing for us. It changed the way independent, unsigned artists, original programming. We have a travel show on there. We got some cowboy shows, and it's pretty good. And We got advertisers. It's wacky.
Do you really?
TigerRadioOnline.com. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Of course, for viewers who aren't online, they couldn't really learn much about them, and there's not a place they can still hear you on air.
Right.
They Monday through Friday from 6 to 10. Wave
And
104.1.
the Best of Banana Jack, 8 till noon, 104.1. Yeah.
8 to noon is what? That's on Saturdays?
Saturdays.
You're kidding?
No, I got a Best of show.
That's great. You also have something coming out with barbecue, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
We have 30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, Jim Morgan over at WEZV.
Right.
He's been in the market forever. He is a barbecue nut. Now, I'm not as, into it as he is, but I love barbecue. I will drive all over. If there's a barbecue restaurant, that's the first place I eat no matter where I go. The barbecue guys will be telling you more. There will be a website which will be up down the road, thebarbecueguys.com, and we're trying. That's going to be a syndicated deal, if we're lucky.
Yeah. Now they're luck tied in.
See, there you go.
I like it.
Because that's going to be luck.
Jack, thanks so much for being with us
Thanks for
this
having
morning.
me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Banana Jack Murphy coming up next. If you've been sitting here the last 30 minutes, you would have heard him talk about the 6 very special B's in his life. Of course, he wrapped up with barbecue back in '87. Thanks to Bill Hennessy, he got on to Banana. He rolled along, and we heard him talk a little bit about the word blessing and how that's impacted his life and given to others. Of course, getting into Bethany and learning about Bethany and the birth of children has been real special. We got onto a really special topic. His beautiful wife, Barb, and then, of course, talked about what will be the greatest part of his life for the next many, many years, the birth of his child, coming up sometime around the end of the year. Banana Jack Murphy, thanks so much for being with us this morning.